This is Joe Biden, the resident of the United States. During a cabinet meeting on May 5th, Joe Biden ended his remarks with an unexpected announcement.
And so, I think we've got a lot of work to do. I'm doing a major press conference this afternoon, so I love you all, but I'd like to ask you to leave so we can get down to business.
A major news conference? Well, that's refreshing to hear, because Biden hasn't given one of those since November 2022.
What are the dangers you see, sir, and did you hear anything from the executives that assuaged your concerns?
There are dangers. We'll get a chance to talk about all those things, I promise you.
You said a press conference?
Great! We'll talk about all those things at the press conference.
Reporters trying to sneak in some questions as they're escorted out of the room at the White House. The President of the United States saying, this is news to us, that he would have a press conference later today and answer more questions. We'll get you more information on that as we get it.
But as it turns out, Biden was just confused. There was no press conference, but he did have a softball interview scheduled. Tonight, on a special 2-hour edition of the 11th hour on MSNBC, Stephanie Ruhle will sit down with President Joe Biden for an exclusive one-on-one interview. His first since announcing his re-election bid. Tune in, beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern. Wow, an exclusive interview with Joe Biden. Cancel your Friday night Cinco de Mayo plans because Joe Biden's gonna be on the TV. So in response, I tweeted, gonna guess that Biden will only appear for 20 minutes or less during this 2-hour special edition. So was I right? Come on, man. I'm the top senior political analyst on YouTube. Of course I was right. Out of 120 minutes, MSNBC only showed 13 minutes and 12 seconds of this exclusive one-on-one interview. Now, before she played back the interview, Stephanie Ruhle needed to set it up like a sales pitch and talk about all of the amazing accomplishments that Joe Biden has had while in office.
Since taking office, a major focus of Biden's has been the economy and rebuilding our infrastructure. He pushed through the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the CHIPS and Science Act, along with the Inflation Reduction Act.
So let me get this straight. Biden's biggest accomplishments are $1.7 trillion in infrastructure spending, only 30% of which actually goes towards infrastructure. The CHIPS Act, which is essentially a multi-billion-dollar bribe to computer chip companies to manufacture here in the United States, which they should be doing anyway, and the so-called Inflation Reduction Act that actually doesn't lower inflation.
Biden's economic plan includes his Investing in America agenda to help make all of that legislation an absolute reality.
I love that this clip of Biden swaying back and forth was the best footage that they could find to use.
I want to start with maybe your most ambitious agenda item, and that's your infrastructure plans. This is something you have wanted to do for decades, rebuild America, bring jobs back, but it's going to take time to implement it. People haven't seen it. A year from now, what will Americans see?
Well, they're going to see bridges that didn't exist before that were shut down.
They're going to see bridges that didn't exist before that were shut down. Great start, Joe.
They're going to see, for example, you're going to be able to get an Amtrak, and instead of going through the tunnel of Baltimore at 30 miles an hour because nothing's been done under the Chesapeake Bay under the Baltimore River, the Baltimore area for 80 years. They're going to be able to go at 100 miles an hour.
Biden is attempting to talk about the Baltimore and Potomac Tunnel. However, it doesn't run under the Chesapeake Bay because Chesapeake Bay is roughly 14 miles away geographically from the tunnel. Nor does the BMP tunnel go under the Baltimore River because the Baltimore River is located in the state of Michigan. And for the record, the BMP tunnel doesn't go under any body of water.
They're going to see railroads going from Syracuse to all the way down to New York, upstate New York. Anyway, to the city. But I guess what I'm saying,
But we already have railroad routes that go from Syracuse to New York City. Or does he want to build more of them? I don't understand.
How can we be the most successful economy in the world without the first-rate infrastructure? We used to be number 1 in the world. Now we're number 13. It's just bizarre.
Okay, Biden says this like a lot, that the United States is number 13 in the world in infrastructure. But what does that mean exactly? And where is he getting this from? Well, that would be from the World Economic Forum's 2019 Global Competitiveness Report. Out of 141 countries, the United States is 13th overall in infrastructure. And it seems that the main thing dragging our score down is that we're 48th in the world in railroad density. I should point out that the United States is ranked number 2 overall in the report. Not that you should give a shit what Klaus Schwab and the WEF think anyway. And according to prior reports, America's infrastructure ranking is all over the place and has never been higher than number 7.
We used to be number 1 in the world. Now we're number 13.
When were we number 1 exactly? And by what metric? Joe Biden is just pulling this out of his ass.
In the first 2 years of my administration, I cut the debt by $1.7 trillion. 1.7 more than anybody's ever done in history.
That is a lie. Joe Biden didn't cut the debt. As of February 2023, Joe Biden has increased the debt by $1.84 trillion.
When Trump was president and he increased the whole national debt for 200 years by 40%.
Guys, Trump increased the whole national debt for
200 years.
And all of that debt was added because of COVID spending, because of the global pandemic. But if Biden wants to play that game, then let's play that game. The national debt increased by almost 70% during the Obama-Biden administration, which is an average increase of just under 35% each term in office. In fact, Biden-Obama added more to the debt than any other administration in history.
Their budget goes in, and there's no possibility they can pass their budget. Zero possibility. They cut 200,000. Anyway, I shouldn't get going on it, but
Biden can't even articulate in simple terms why he doesn't like the Republicans' budget bill, and yet we're supposed to believe that he's up for 6 more years of this? Got it.
Why do you think your polling is where it is?
well, I don't think people. By the way, every major one who won re-election, their polling numbers were mine are now.
Nope, not even close, Joe. According to a recent Washington Post ABC News poll, Joe Biden has a 36% approval rating and is numerically the lowest on record for any first-term president a year and a half from the next presidential election. ABC News points out that Biden's approval rating is similar to Gerald Ford's, Jimmy Carter at 37% in May 1979, and Donald Trump at 39% in April 2019. None were re-elected. So 2.5 years into his first term, and Biden is completely in denial about his polling numbers being lower than any other president in US history at this point. And let's play that clip again.
By the way, every major one who won re-election, their polling numbers were mine are now.
Every major president? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So let's take a look at the historical data from Gallup. In the most recent Gallup poll, Joe Biden's approval rating is 37%. At the same point in Barack Obama's first term, he was averaging around 50%. George W. Bush's approval rating in May 2003 averaged 66%, and Bill Clinton's approval rating in May 1995 was 51%.
Put polling aside then, right? Sentiment in this country, despite all these wins, is not very
I
good.
think all they've heard is negative news for 3 years. Everything is negative. I'm not being critical of the press, but you turn on the television, the only way you're going to get a hit is if there's something negative. You don't, anyway.
So on one hand, Biden is saying that he's not being critical of the press, but on the other, he's saying that his polling numbers are low because the press only reports negative news for ratings.
And it is fair to say that there's not a Fortune 500 company in the world looking to hire a CEO in his 80s. So why would an 82-year-old Joe Biden be the right person for the most important job in the world?
Because I've acquired a hell of a lot of wisdom. I know more than the vast majority of people. I'm more experienced than anybody's ever run for the office.
Joe Biden knows more than the vast majority of people. Joe Biden doesn't even know the difference between an interview and a press conference. Biden can't even properly read a website address off of a teleprompter.
We just launched a new website. flightsright.gov. Flightsright.gov.
But yeah, sure. 6 more years, guys.
And I think I've proven myself to be honorable as well as also effective.
Yeah, effective at ratcheting up tensions with Russia and China, raising inflation, leaving the southern border wide open, and dividing the country. Very effective indeed.
I know you believe in the American dream and you talk about fighting for the soul of America. But can we level set in terms of the soul of America? Right now, hate crimes are on the rise, random acts of gun violence. Women are under attack. Mr. President?
I'll do one. The answer is yes, because that's why we cannot let this election be one where the same man who was president 4 years ago becomes president again.
Yes, Joe Biden confused Barack Obama with Donald Trump. 81 million votes, guys. And finally, there are reports that the DOJ is on the verge of charging Hunter Biden for several crimes, including federal tax evasion and a gun charge.
Sir, there is something personal that's affecting you. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. How will that impact your presidency?
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
So which makes you prouder of your son, Joe? Was it the tax crimes or when he lied on an ATF form to purchase a gun? But despite all of that, good old Joe Biden continues to insist that Hunter didn't do nothing. And you'd think that Joe's lack of objectivity and good judgment would be disqualifying, but whatever. Anyway, that's it for now. Follow me on Twitter at Don't Walk Run. Be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. If there is next time.